The front cover of Vibe magazine, which is a real media text, has strong recognisable conventions. The colour scheme being black, white, grey and red. I reinforce this colour scheme because I believe when it comes to the R&B genre, these are the colours which come to mind as they all mix well together, as well as making the front cover look professional. The main image of every Vibe magazine cover is extremely attractive, therefore I had to make sure my image appealed to both sexes, which is the artist looking directly into the camera, creating a connection with the audience, which is a strong convention for every music magazine in general. The cover lines featured on Vibe magazines always included a number, which is what I have included in my production. A convention which I also reinforced into my own production is the style of the issue of the magazine, as it is sophisticated and it fits in with the R&B genre and flowing house style. Another obvious convention is the main image covering the magazine name, showing to the audience that the magazine is well known. Also, the celebrity featured on the page is the main focus of this month's magazine, which I decided to reinforce this convention. The conventions on Vibe magazine which is shown above show the cover lines on the right hand side and the left feature the cover line and tagline. I have decided to develop this convention by mixing them together, still keeping the cover line to the left, but I have included cover lines on the left hand side as I believe it looks a lot more better. Also making the main focus, which is the artist, more inviting to the audience because not everything is restricted to individual sides. I haven't challenged any of the codes or conventions of real media text on this front page, as I believe that originated codes and conventions are good enough to follow and slightly develop. There's a name of contents which I have followed this, as I think the layout is cool and quirky, which links in with the genre. However, I aligned this to the right of the page. I reinforced the list of page names, as this is the main convention which media texts use. The above image of Vibe magazine contents page includes a symbol which is shown above, which I thought was quite individual, which made me reinforce it into my production. I quickly picked up on the page list, including the page numbers, but also including captions giving a short brief overview of what the contents are on this page. However, in the image above it is not shown on every page, therefore I also developed this by creating an overview of each one, as I believe it will strongly benefit the target audience if they want to quickly find what they are looking for. Developing the one-page contents so that it is a double-page spread will enable my target audience to have a variety of images linking to the genre, which I believe will enable them to feel more welcome to read the magazine, which I as a user feel when opening up to the first page. However, I changed the double page to the single page, as I believed it looked so much better and appealed to the target audience a lot more. I challenged the convention of the layout by developing the single contents page, as there's one main image, but the image is behind the text, which is not shown on the Vibe magazine. The images I have used, I believe they will appeal to my target audience, as they are 15 to 24-year-olds. Therefore, they may need more information and images to keep them enjoyed when reading the magazine. By taking the page list and placing it to the second left of the page, including images down the right-hand side, I'm challenging the originated layout. I have challenged this because of my target audience needs, as they need to be kept entertained, and I believe a variety of images will do this. I have also challenged this convention by not including the magazine title on the contents page, as I believe the audience should be able to locate it on every page, which will make the magazine more memorable for them. General music magazines would usually include Facebook and Twitter link, which would be great for a target audience, as social networking is extremely popular. I couldn't find this convention while looking at Vibe magazine, therefore I have challenged this by deciding to include it in my production. The image above is Vibe magazine's article page. As you can see, there is an element of fun to it, however, it does not look ordinary article page. It hasn't visibly followed the house style. I have used the convention of the text layout, as well as including taglines, which are used so the readers can quickly get an understanding about what the article is about. I have also used the convention where the issue of the magazine April-May has been placed at the bottom near the page number, as I think this is a good convention to follow. I have also recognised at the bottom of the page the photographer's name is displayed. I have followed this convention as I believe it will make my article look more professional. I have developed the article layout itself as the article quotes what Solange has answered to questions, whereas I laid it out with a question then the response underneath so the audience can get a feel like they are in the interview too. I have also challenged this article page. This is because the layout as a whole, the columns are similar, however I changed it as I have included more of them, as well as placing the images in different places. I have included the name of my magazine on the bold left-hand side, the bold right-hand side, which this article doesn't include. I have done this so the audience can be familiar with the magazine name and the style of it. I believe that my layout, which is shown above, will appeal to my target audience because they can understand the article as a whole and it looks more conventional. The audience for my media product would have to relate to R&B music, people who enjoy it and therefore want to read about their favourite R&B artists, as well as taking an interest in fashion and technology. I believe that they would range from 16 to 25-year-olds, both male and females. I carried out primary research to find out exactly who my target audience were by creating a questionnaire, which is shown above. This enabled me to pinpoint exactly who my audience were. For instance, I asked how much they would pay for a magazine, and the majority of the response was £2 to £3. Therefore, I made my magazine more audience-friendly by pricing it at £2.50. The majority of my target audience are students at school or at university and part-time working. Therefore, they will be able to afford this. My magazine appeals to the intended target audience as the colour scheme is professional and reader-friendly. Including my own images enabled me to embed my own experience of this genre to be included, which would benefit the audience because they can relate to the pictures. As I undertook research into different magazine institutions, IPC Media is the most likely institution to market and distribute my production. This institution is the UK's biggest publisher, selling over 350 million magazines each year. This institution is owned by Time Inc., which is a massive multinational company. Therefore, because of this, I believe that IPC Media would be a great institution to publish and distribute my magazine Harmony. Have magazines which target men and females as well as individual sex magazines, resulting in the institution having a lot of money for advertising a new magazine. As the parent company is Time Inc., therefore, there would be plenty of opportunities to advertise through Warner Brothers, etc., as well as offering plugs to every user. IPC distributes NME, a well-known magazine. Because of this, I believe the nature of my magazine would be an appealing investment into the institution, as it is a new genre of magazine to distribute. Therefore, they can have more dominance in the music magazine business area. Although the international frame of IPC Media is a good starting point for any magazine to gain publicity in other magazines and TV adverts, which is how IPC advertise. They would advertise my magazine through the companies to publish, such as other music magazines, TV adverts, cinema adverts, websites and texts. The divisions of IPC Media are basically a huge force of different technological convergence. I addressed my audience by firstly creating a questionnaire to find out what the audience thought and wanted from an R&B magazine. The questionnaire helped me find out which codes and conventions were easily recognisable within the genre, as well as what audiences want. Following the front cover conventions of real R&B music magazines enabled me to address and attract my target audience. The conventions include the colour scheme when it comes to the R&B genre. Red, black, grey and white are the colours which come to mind. They make the front cover look professional. These colours are unisex, therefore my magazine will attract a wider range of customers and not just the targeted ones. Another convention which enabled me to attract the audience was the main image, the artist, as he was looking directly at the camera, which creates a connection with the audience. The image had to address the audience, therefore the lighting and mise-en-scène had to be appealing. The cover lines on my front cover address the audience's needs. They can be easily read and they are very persuasive in different fonts, so the audience are kept enjoyed when reading them. These are informal, which attracts my audience as they want to read informal gossip-filled articles which will entertain them. A convention which I also reinforced to attract the audience was the style of the magazine, as it looks sophisticated, fitting in with the R&B genre and including a flowing house style. For distribution purposes, I included a plug at the top of the page, which will be the first thing the audience see when it is on the shelf. This will address and attract the audience because it will include names of popular and well-known artists in the R&B industry, which is what my target audience said they wanted via my primary research. The technologies I have learned throughout the making of my magazine is Adobe Photoshop, as this is a software which helped me create my magazine, such as editing the photos to get rid of red eye and blemishes. I also learned how to select the body of an image and separate it from the background, which was quite difficult for me to get the hang of. I also learned how to use a camera in specific ways and how lighting affects the shots. The megapixels are important, as the more megapixels there is, the better definition the photo will turn out, which is why I want to make my production look more professional, which enables me to edit the images more efficiently on Photoshop. The brightness and contrast of the images were also edited on certain individual images. This was to fit in with the target audience. I learned that if I used the shift key, I was able to resize the images, which was really helpful. Using drop shadows was the tool I used most, as it made everything bolder and professional. I was taking photography as an AS level, and therefore this was a huge bonus for me, as I was already familiar with the software. I had a few tutorials from my media teacher, which was beneficial, as it enabled me to understand what the final image had to look like, as well as a tutorial from my photography teacher who specialised in the software. Looking back at the preliminary tasks, I believe I progressed a lot. I hardly researched and planned what I was going to do. I just had knowledge of who the target audience I had to appeal to were. Research for the music magazine took up most of my time. I carried out primary research by creating questionnaires so people could fill them out. For secondary research, I looked at real media texts, which were the same genre as mine. I hardly manipulate the images I took for the college magazine. The most I'd done was change the saturation and brightness, as well as the contrast. I have learned how much effort and work goes into making a magazine production from this specific task. The task was very time consuming. I had to plan everything to the last detail. I also had to plan the music magazine extremely well, with sketches of how I wanted it to turn out like. Research also involved in. The task was very time consuming. I had to plan everything to the last detail. I also had to plan the music magazine extremely well, with sketches of what I wanted it to turn out like. Research was also involved in this, as it defined how to produce a magazine the right way. The design of the actual magazine was then done. The layout and text was written onto the pages where the images were going to be placed. I placed a box so I knew exactly what I was doing. After I had spell checked all the text for the article, I then started planning what photos I wanted to use in my magazine and how they would cater for the target audience. I then took photos over the 2 weeks experimenting which shots I wanted. I then had to rearrange the front cover so that I could place the photo behind the text, but in front of the magazine name. I then started tweaking the magazine to make it more realistic.